Good morning, Bill. Thanks for joining us today. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So here's what I know. 10 years at Clarity.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, it's been quite a ride. I was third person to come on board at Clarity, and we're up near 50 people now.
Awesome.
It's been quite the ride, growing and being part of this with TJ and Ken to help grow the company.
That's really cool. So what would you contribute your run at Clarity to? What are some of the factors that have kept you around for the last 10 years?
One of the things I always go back to is teamwork. I'm a former Marine, and one of the things about being in the Marine Corps is teamwork and knowing that you can trust the people to your left and to your right and behind you. And I think working with TJ and Ken over these years, and then the other leadership that we've brought on from Ryan to Mike and everyone else has been really beneficial to the operations of the company. And it's building that quality team of people that you can trust.
Yeah, absolutely. So I talked with TJ previously, and one of the things he talks about is, the why of Clarity, and having an impact, developing an environment that he wanted to work within. And I think that impact component is really important. And if I'm kind of reading between the lines a little bit, that's the idea that I hear from it's Marine Corps teamwork, having an impact, impacting the people to the left and right of you, them impacting you, and driving towards a common mission.
Correct. It all feeds into that mission that we're helping our nation solve some of our most challenging information problems.
100%
with software and AI and machine learning.
Yeah. So what did you do in the Marine Corps?
Oh, I was a young teenager, and I took the ASVAB to get in, and my Marine Corps recruiter, I was enlisted. My Marine Corps recruiter told me he could fry half my brain and I could still get in the Marine Corps. But I want to do something fun. I was actually in a weapons company.
Awesome.
So I love the military. I have two of my children are actually in the military now. They're the first officers in the family, but I was enlisted. But it helped me with paying for undergrad, and so
yeah,
the deal was wonderful.
So you have
hold on. If I don't move around enough, you have to edit that one out. The lights went out. I don't know what the timing is.
Oh no, we're keeping that one in. I love it. You're going to be up dancing in a minute just to keep the lights on.
Yes.
So you actually have a BS and an MS, a BS in computer science and an MS in information technology, right?
Correct.
And that University of Pittsburgh.
University of Pittsburgh for undergrad and Carnegie Mellon for grad school.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Well, obviously two great schools. So on the program side of the house, what can you tell us about what you're supporting? And to give us a little bit of insight into what you're supporting, kind of tools, technologies that you're working with, and your role within.
So the customer side that I help support is the operations side of the house. If you're familiar with the different organizations with the customer, the big customers that we support, there's an operations side. So we do some agile programming, and we deal with we work with large data sets.
Okay.
And either collecting those large data sets, pulling those large data sets in, the data flow for those large data sets, processing the data as it's coming through, looking for things in that data, and then storing the data in whether in some data store, whatever the correct data store for that is, whether it's Elasticsearch, whether it's MongoDB, dgraph, some graph database, or some RDBMS.
Yeah.
And then we build systems on top of that do that help in terms of data science, discovery of data. And some of that is, so from the data flow perspective, we use Apache NiFi. I mentioned some of the data source or some of the data stores that we use. We use Java, Spring Boot web services to pull some of that data together. There's some Python in there as well. And then we use various JavaScript libraries on the front end for GUI presentation. And right now, a lot of that's Vue.js or even D3 for some of our more intricate things that we're doing.
Got it. So as far as the types of roles that you're hiring for in that particular program, majority software engineer types, what other types of roles do you guys tend to bring on to that
So we
Good to
do
hear.
hire a lot of software engineers onto that program. And some of the other labor categories that we look for, some of the other people, types of people that we look for, DevSecOps.
Yeah.
That can do, Docker, that
Yep.
can help us use the infrastructure for moving towards a hybrid cloud, initiative.
Yeah.
And getting it all, virtualized.
Yeah, it's interesting when we talk about DevSecOps and similar that in some arenas it's very misunderstood, and some people look at it as saying, okay, we need a DevSecOps person. You're like, no, it's not really a person; it's multiple people
Yes.
to do this kind of work. And so I've seen that a lot. Do you when you talk DevSecOps, right? You're talking about that development, that security, and that operations component that ties in together, correct?
All together, yes, all together. And it's not, and I'm glad you said that. It's not just a single person all the time. So we have a DevSecOps, one or two people that are specifically focused on some of the infrastructure, but it depends on what the priorities are at the moment. We may pull a couple other of our software engineers in to do some DevSecOps, or we may ask some of our teammates that are quote in that DevSecOps role to help us in some of the software engineering, some of the software development that we're doing from time to time. It really depends on what the priorities are. Being in operations, priorities do change, and we try and run a 2-week agile sprint, but sometimes that gets modified just a couple of days into the sprint.
Sure. As far as type of people that you're looking for, and when I say types of people, let's move away from the technical side of the house. What types of attributes would somebody bring that would just, make Clarity and your team take note?
Great question.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because a lot of times, you're talking to I'm the VP of engineering. A lot of times, I do a lot of software engineering. It's not, you look for the foundational technology. Does someone know Java, the basics of Java, or even mid-level Java, or Python, or C++? 95% of the time, it's communication. You want someone that is technically capable, but can also communicate. And you don't have to be a person that can get up in front of a crowd of 100 or 200. Right. You just have to be able to communicate to this goes back to the person to your left, to the person to your right, who's on your team, what you're doing, and so that everyone's on the same page as to what's going on. And it's that communication. It's a lot of the human factors part of that we're looking for.
Yeah, I love that, because I think it's super important that how often do we find ourselves in situations where we don't speak up and we think to ourselves that we're expected to know something. Meanwhile, precious time is passing, and an opportunity to, number one, learn something new, and two, make the person that you're asking for help feel good about being able to provide some help and contribution back. And then you get that whole, that mentoring feeling, and then you get that teamwork component that you're speaking of. And as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats. So I think that's awesome.
I would like to. So a lot of times when you're interviewing or talking with people to bring them on board, you have some people that just want to focus on a specific task,
right? And
if you want to, if you're a person that likes to focus on a particular task, be given a task and go through that, and that's fine. You need some of those people, but you also need people that are more flexible in terms of, okay, I have a task today, that task may change tomorrow. So you need both. That's right.
Thanks for that clarification, because you're absolutely right. And we're all unique. We all have our own unique interests in what we want to do, and the fact that you guys are aware enough to understand that both have an application within the organization is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So a fun question for you. So if you were ChatGPT, what would you say to someone who inquired about Clarity?
If I were ChatGPT, so if I were ChatGPT, I'd say Clarity is a place that cares about its employees, and I don't even like to say employee. I like to say team mates. because it's more than just about being an employee. It's about being part of a team that's trying to solve, and it goes back to the mission and being, it goes back to what we started with, that be part of a team that's trying to solve some of the most difficult challenges that our country is facing in terms of bringing data together and finding those needles in the haystack, and then working with others on a team that want to do the same thing.
That's great. So coffee, tea, or neither?
Oh, there's without a doubt coffee.
The coffee. All right. So are we a coffee snob or just a casual coffee drinker?
I'm not a snob. I'm kind of in between casual and snob.
Yeah.
I do like dark coffee, Sumatra. With I don't like flavors. I like the taste. I like a little bit of cream, and
Yeah.
cream in turn means milk.
Yeah.
But other than that, I like coffee. Coffee is definitely the way
I
to
love
go.
it. Yeah.
It's
So
going.
I'm exposing some insights about me. I happen to like drinks that have character, and by character, I am perfectly happy with a cup of instant coffee.
Mm.
Yeah.
I've not had instant coffee in quite some time.
I'm sure you're thinking back to your Marine Corps days.
I
And
was
a little
I was gonna say it. I didn't want to bring it up, but when you're driving Humvees at 3 a.m,
exactly.
get down the highway somewhere, you need that instant coffee brewed up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's nostalgic. Well, Bill, it's been great talking with you. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate your input on Clarity. Continued success to you and the program and the mission. And we'll look forward to catching up later.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks.
You bet.